Hey guys, so today we're going to do a service on a 2017 CRF450R. It's going to be its first oil change and clean the air filter, adjust the chain. We're going to shine this thing up, check tire pressure, and make sure everything's still tight. So pretty much nothing's been done to this but been rode since it was new last year. So all right. Alright, so to take the skid plate off the bottom, there's a bolt here next to the oil filter, on the other side, next to the water pump, and then one up in the center. Now I already took this off, which I'm kind of glad I did, because there's a little nutsert in the frame here for this back bolt, and I actually had to stick a pry bar in on the plastic and hold back on it while I pulled that out, because this was just spinning in the frame. Yeah.
I thought you just dropped the camera in the oil.
No.
I'm like, oh god. They apparently have a Maverick Turbo that is designed for rock crawl missions.
Alright guys, now when you pull this out, there's a spring right here. Don't forget to put that in when you go to install the new filter. Alright guys, so you don't want to forget the spring right here on the end, and obviously it goes rubber seal in, or out, I guess rubber seal into the cap pointing out of the bike. It only goes in one way, but the chain on this is a little sloppy. Kind of rule of thumb I use is right up here next to this chain slider on the top of the swing arm. I like to usually try to keep it closer to 2 fingers. This is almost 3 fingers. I can fit in between the chain here. The sticker says 1 5/8" play, and I think this is just a little on the loose side. So we're gonna snug this up a little bit. Alright, after I got the screws set kind of where I wanted as far as length, the one thing you want to make sure is that the axle's all the way forward when you go and tighten it up, so that the blocks are actually up against the bolts that you just set. So one of the tricks I like to do is I like to take a screwdriver and stick in the chain and kind of roll the tire backwards. And it kind of jams it, tightens this up, and it'll suck the back tire forward so that you know that your axle blocks are up against these screws. And now that we've got this set here, now we can tighten that axle nut up, and we know everything's sucked forward, and should be good enough. So another thing I like to do when I'm servicing a bike is go over the entire bike and try to tighten bolts. So sometimes that's just a simple thing that'll save you a lot of headache. So especially like motor mount bolts, you want to try to go around and try to just touch on all the motor mount bolts. Just pretty much the easiest thing to do is just grab even a 1/4 inch drive socket and extension and ratchet, and just go around and find all the 10mm headed bolts on this, and just put a wrench on it and just try to tighten everything. So sometimes it can save quite a bit of hassle, and just start with an 8, go 10 and 12. That'll pretty much hit, I don't know, 80% of the bolts on a bike. So that's just a simple little thing to just help keep everything nice. We're putting AMSOIL on this bike because this bike gets road and not the most ideal conditions. If you're ever going to be riding and you're going to be using the clutch a lot, more than just, I don't know, if you buy the bike and decide to ride it up and down the road and stuff and dick around in the field, that might not be such a big deal. But if you're doing any kind of woods riding and you're on and off the clutch a lot and you're slipping the clutch a lot, or if you're racing and you're doing a lot of starts, you really want some good oil. To protect the motor, but also the clutch. Clutches can get expensive, and clutch performance can be critical if you're racing. So AMSOIL is one of the best for just preventing a soft, spongy clutch. Something you really want to get all the horsepower this 450 makes to the ground. You don't want the clutch failing. And these things are expensive to rebuild, so you really want to try to run some of the best oil you can. So there should be a link down in the bottom with a code, so you can get 25% off your oil if you want, but I highly recommend AMSOIL. Another thing I like to do when servicing a bike, this not all the time, more so on my YZ, because I've got frame guards on my YZ and I got to take this off anyways, I clean it, but don't want to forget about the pivot on the rear brake lever. I know my YZ's got O-rings. This has seals on it, so once in a while, I don't know if I'd do this all the time, but I wouldn't forget about it either. Take the bolt out of it and just kind of clean everything up, re-grease it, and put it back together. I know a lot of bikes on the bolts have a hole drilled in the end of it with a cotter pin in it. So if you're gonna take it apart, check that first. Always check to see if there's a cotter pin in the back side of the frame. You have to look up in behind and pull it out, and then this will screw right out. So wipe it out, re-grease it, put it back together. All right, I want to touch on this just because 12-year-old Casey didn't know this, and I was actually surprised to find a couple people at the racetrack didn't know this either, but your air filter needs cleaned. Don't just replace it once a year and not touch it except once a year. I usually try to clean mine when it's dirty. Sometimes I get 2 rides out of an air filter depending on how dusty it is when I ride, but your air filter should be probably over maintained, like almost more important than an oil change. So how I clean an air filter is I've got a parts washer, so I take the air filter out, take the cage out of it, and dip the air filter in the parts washer. That breaks the oil down. After you do that, try to wring it out as best you can without tearing it, and then just Dawn dish soap and water and hot water, and just scrunch it all up and get it all good and sudsy and rinse it out really well. And then after you do that, you got to let it air dry. Set it outside in the sun, hang it in front of a fan, whatever you got to do. But that gets all the dirt out. So you got to break the oil down with one thing, and then you've got to clean that out of the air filter with something else, usually Dawn dish soap. But if you don't have a parts washer, usually wherever you buy air filter oil, they'll sell, I know Maxim sells a air filter cleaner, and it just breaks down the oil, and then you can wash it with Dawn dish soap after that. But you definitely want to over maintain your air filter, especially on the 4-strokes. If you don't, you'll start eating valves. They'll just wear out prematurely. On a 2-stroke, you'll start eating rings. It'll blow up quick. So, but a properly oiled air filter should pretty much just be the same color as whatever your air filter oil is. Mine's blue, but the air filter's yellow, so that makes green. But you just want a nice, even, thick coat all the way over it. I wouldn't dip the whole air filter in a gallon jug of oil, but I just drizzled it along the outside and then worked it in by hand with a pair of gloves on until you get it looking pretty decent, and then put it in there. That should be over maintained out of anything. Like almost as often as you check your gas, you should be cleaning your air filter. Not really, but it's that important. So I just wanted to touch on that because maybe if you're watching this, that's something you don't know. Hopefully you do if you're working on a 17 CRF450R, but that's not something that's as common as I thought it was. All right, guys, this air filter was probably one of the more difficult ones I've had to put on a cage, but I'm sure after practice it gets better. I just wanted to make note, this blue part right here, that was white, that's a piece of foam, but that's the seal that seals the air box off on the air filter. So just make sure you get that oiled really heavy before you put it back in here. That's all.